Okay, here is the second lecture on the mesoionic heterocycles, in which I'll talk about the very first type A mesoionic, which you can see here. It is the 1,3-oxazolium 4-olate. I'll be discussing the chemistry, I mean the chemical reactions, as well as the synthesis part for this molecule. So till now, you people are already aware that we have a total of two categories of the mesoionic heterocyclic molecules. The first one is the type A and the second one is type B. And it all depends upon whether the two atoms in the general structure of that mesoionic heterocyclic molecule, which is giving 2 electrons each, whether they are adjacent to each other or they are not. Okay, so in general, let me tell you that we have a total of 70 plus type A mesoionic heterocyclic molecules. Okay, but in your syllabus we will be dealing with only these 8 type A mesoionic heterocycles, and likewise as far as the type B mesoionics are concerned, there are only these 3 molecules which are there in your syllabus. Okay, so the plan is we will be taking all these mesoionic heterocycles, whether type A or type B, one by one. We will be doing the synthesis part as well as the chemical reactions or the chemical properties of all these molecules. Okay, so this whole lecture, I will be devoting this whole lecture towards the chemistry. Let me write here the chemistry, means the chemical properties as well as the synthesis for this very first type A mesoionic heterocycle, which is once again 1,3-oxazolium 4-olate. Now let me be quick in discussing the nomenclature of these molecules. What you need to do is you need to start the numbering from the oxygen atom, and you have to go in that direction such that the other heteroatom, that is the nitrogen in this case, should be getting the lowest number. Okay, so if we start from this oxygen atom, either numbering can be done in this direction, I mean starting from here it can be done in this direction. So it will be 1, here comes number 2, it will be 3, and it will be 4, and this will be number 5. In this case you can see the nitrogen atom here is having number 3, and if we are going other way around, I mean in this direction, what will happen is oxygen 1, this will be 2, this will be 3 here, 4 on the nitrogen atom, and this will be 5. So definitely we have to consider the numbering or the direction in this way, I mean, because in doing so the nitrogen atom is getting the lower number, that is 3 instead of 4. Okay, so the name of this type A mesoionic heterocycle will be what? It will be 1. On 1 we are having oxygen atom, so it will be ox, comma. On number 3 we are having what? We are having a nitrogen atom, so a hyphen here, so we can call the nitrogen as aza or the azolium. And moreover, on number 4 we are having an olate, O-L-A-T-E. So this is the name of this very first type A mesoionic heterocycle. It is 1,3-oxazolium 4-olate. Okay, so this thing here, I mean this thing which is on number 4 here, which is I mean this thing here, we will be calling it as 4-olate, right? So likewise, we can also name the second type A mesoionic molecule. Once again, numbering is to start from this direction, means from this direction, because in doing so, nitrogen will be getting the lower number. So once again, oxygen will get the first number here, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 here, right? So the name will be what? The name will be on 1 we are having ox, means the oxygen. On number 3 now we are having the aza, nitrogen, or the azolium. So I can write here azolium. Hyphen on 5 I am having what now? On 5 I am having my olate. So the name of this second type A mesoionic is what? It is 1,3-oxazolium 5-olate. Okay. So the nomenclature part is quite simple, as you can see here. And once again, I want to tell you that out of these 8 type A mesoionic heterocyclic molecules, we will be doing the chemistry part, the synthesis part, as well as the chemical properties or the chemical reactions one by one in each lecture. So this particular lecture I am devoting only and only to this very first mesoionic heterocyclic type A molecule. The name once again is 1,3-oxazolium 4-olate. Now before going further, it is very important to discuss the structural representation of these mesoionics. Okay, so I have taken that same first type A molecule, you can see here, and now it can be represented in this form. Actually, this form here is equivalent to whatever you can see here on your left hand side. Okay, so let me write here. So we can do it like this, means it can be represented in this way. The first substituent, that is the R1, single bond carbon here, a single bond here, nitrogen having R2, a single bond here, then the third substituent here, this is the oxygen negative, this oxygen here which is bonded to this carbon atom. Okay, regarding the structural representation, what I want to convey is that either we can write this structure or this one here or this one here, they are all equivalent. Okay, so regarding the chemistry part or the chemical reactions, it is important to understand this structural representation concept, because doing the chemical reactions in this way, I mean from this type of representation, the chemical reactions will be quite easy. Okay, but if you look here on this type of representation, it is a little bit difficult to understand the chemical properties or the chemical reactions. Okay, once again, all these molecules are equivalent, all these are same, it is just a matter of representation. And whenever we will be talking about the chemical properties or the chemical reactions, it is extremely important to start with that representation with which we can understand the chemical reactions in an easy way, right? So the trick is, I can always draw an equivalent structure for this in this way. Okay, what I have to do is I have to put 2 double bonds in this, the first one, the second one here, and these 2 double bonds should always be like this. I mean the oxygen atom, single bond, and then this double bond here, single bond, and once again this double bond. So this is just a trick that will make the chemical reactions easy for you people. Just remember, we need to vanish this circular positive charge from here, and we just have to do is what? We have to mark 2 double bonds, the first one here and the second one here, and it should always be like this. Okay, so with respect to this oxygen, this is the first double bond here, means this thing, and this is the second double bond, and obviously now a positive charge will appear on this nitrogen atom like this, right? so that I can now represent it in the form of a second resonating structure. But before that, you can check it out that this representation here is exactly similar to this one here, right? This representation is exactly similar to this one. And after that, I simply have to do is what? I simply have to draw the resonating structure, and that can be done in this way. These electrons are shifting from here, and these two electrons are shifting from here to here, giving what? Giving this type of resonating structure. Let me be quick on this. So it will be oxygen here, single bond, the substituent R3, a single bond here. This will now become a double bond like this. Nitrogen having R2, the single bond here. Now this will be a double bond, and these two pi electrons when appear on this carbon atom, it will be present in the form of a negative charge like this. Okay, and moreover, what I can do is I can also represent in this structure here, I can also do or add another electronic movement like this. These two pi electrons when moving to the nitrogen atom, so what will happen? This positive charge will disappear on this nitrogen atom, and instead a positive charge will now appear on this carbon atom adjacent to this nitrogen atom, right? And after that, I can draw one more resonating structure here, and it will be like single bond R2 here, single bond, double bond oxygen, oxygen here, and once again R3 here. And now what I have to do is a negative charge as it is, and moreover I can also show it like this, these two electrons resonating in this way, giving a double bond like this. This positive charge will now disappear from this carbon atom, and instead it will now come over to this oxygen atom, and the situation will be like this, right? So these are just the representations, these are just the resonating structures, and we can always do such things in organic chemistry. The only important thing to understand here is that if we are trying to give some chemical reaction of this mesoionic molecule from this type of representation, it will be quite difficult for us to understand the chemistry of that reaction. But rather, if we are doing it, or if we are starting from some structure, something like either this or this, I mean this or this, it will be easy for us to understand the chemistry of that particular chemical reaction. Okay, so these are not different structures, these are the same structures, these are equivalent structures. It is just a matter of representation. Okay, and this is the significance of this slide here. So it was important to discuss this thing before starting the synthesis part, as well as the chemical reactions for this topic, right? Now one more thing I want to tell you people here is that we can definitely call this molecule as a 1,3 dipole type of molecule. Okay, if you count from here, it is number 1, number 2 and number 3. On 1 and 3 we are having the opposite charges, the positive and the negative charges. So no doubt we can call it as a 1,3 dipole, and calling this molecule as a 1,3 dipole means because all these structures are equivalent, so even this is also our 1,3 dipole, this is also a 1,3 dipole. Moreover, because these all are originating from this original compound, so basically this is a 1,3 dipole type of molecule, right? And moreover, from the last video lecture, you must remember, while I have discussed the basic chemistry part of the type A mesoionic heterocyclic molecules, I have told you people that the basic chemistry of the type A is based upon the generation of the 1,3 dipoles in the reaction. Okay, and it is that same thing. Okay, so what you can see here is that if we want to study the chemical reaction of this molecule, means I'm adding something here, let us say some reagent. So what will happen is that it will be some sort of 1,3 dipolar cycloaddition type of reaction. Why it is so? Because it is actually generating such kind of 1,3 dipoles in the reaction, which will be giving further reactions in that particular sequence of reactions, right? So this is the important part here, right? And another thing which I must add here is the concept of carbonyl halide, right? So before that, uh, you can see here this structure, this carbonyl halide, and this is exactly same, right? So halides are what? We can say that halides are nothing. These are the carbon atoms having negative charge, which is attached to some heteroatom. It may be either oxygen, it may be either sulfur or a phosphorus here, but it should be having a positive charge on that heteroatom. Okay, so if a carbon atom having a negative charge, or let us say a carbon ion, is attached to some heteroatom, maybe oxygen, sulfur or phosphorus having a positive charge, we used to call such species as the halides, right? So you can see here, this is the carbon atom. I mean, this carbon atom I'm talking about. It is having the negative charge, same as here. It is attached to some heteroatom. In this case, it is what? It is the oxygen atom, and moreover, a positive charge is do present on this oxygen. Okay, so we can call this part here, I mean this thing, as a halide molecule. It is what? It is a halide species. And why we are calling it as a carbonyl halide? Simply because it is having a carbonyl group adjacent to this halide, right? So basically in this slide here, that is the structural representation, we have learned three important things. The first one is that the structural representations are giving just the equivalent structures, which will definitely help us in understanding the chemistry of these mesoionic molecules. Okay, the second thing is that these are generating 1,3 dipoles in the reaction that will actually be responsible for that particular chemical reaction. Okay, the third thing is the concept of the halides, and in this case these are the carbonyl type of halides. Okay, after this, now let's talk about the synthesis part, or how we can synthesize our very first type A mesoionic heterocyclic molecule. So basically two types of synthesis has been reported for our molecule. The first one is starting from some diazoketone, as you can see here. This is the diazoketone molecule, the reactant, the main reactant in the first synthetic procedure. And what we want to synthesize? We want to synthesize our 1,3-oxazolium 4-oleate type A mesoionic heterocyclic molecule, right? So the first step here is, let me write here, the first step here is reaction of our main reactant with copper acetyl acetonate. This is copper acetyl acetonate, and the reaction conditions are the high temperature. Okay, now what is going to happen is, in presence of this transition metal, this copper is what? It is a transition metal. Let me write here the transition metal, right? So in the presence of a transition metal, such kind of diazo molecules undergoes elimination of nitrogen, resulting in the formation of an electrophilic carbene species. Okay, so what is meant by a carbene? These are electrophiles in nature, containing 2 odd electrons. So I can write here R1 single bond, double bond oxygen here. This is the single bond nitrogen. Rest of the groups as such a double bond oxygen here, and after that this R3. So after the release of this nitrogen, what will happen is it will result in the generation of a carbene species here, which is containing 2 odd electrons, right? So how this is all happening, I do not want to go into the details of this mechanism or this step here, but I can definitely give you a rough idea. In the presence of a transition metal, what happens is the diazo compounds which can be written, I can write this part here, I mean this part, in this way. The diazo will be N, double bond N here, and after that this double bond, I mean this double bond, a carbon atom here, the 2 groups as it is. Here is the R3 and this is the double bond oxygen, right? So we will be representing the diazo part in this way, which is this is containing the positive charge like this and it is containing the negative charge like this. Okay, so these positive and the negative charges are what? These are the formal charges. Okay, and this is also containing one lone pair of electrons like this, right? So now what happens is it is having 2 lone pair of electrons, I mean like this. Okay, so now what happens is I'm giving you a rough idea. I'm not going into the mechanistic details of this step. So what happens is just a rough idea. These electrons shift here in between the nitrogen and the nitrogen atom, because the driving force is it will result in the formation of a very strong triple bond in between the nitrogen atoms, right? And these electrons will shift like this to the carbon atom, resulting or generating from here. What will happen is it will now result in the formation of nitrogen. This will now become a triple bond. This nitrogen, this will now become a single bond. Carbon here, these 2 groups means R3 and this carbonyl as it is, right? So now this will be having 1 lone pair left, and moreover this will also be having a lone pair like this. Okay, and definitely we need to put a positive charge here and a negative charge here on this carbon atom. Once again, dear student, these are the formal charges and you can always count the formal charge by this formula here. The formula is that the formal charge is given by the number of valence electrons in the free atom, number of valence electrons in the free atom, minus the number of valence electrons in the bonded atom, the number of valence electrons in the bonded atom. Okay, so let we be quick in calculating the formal charge. You can see here we are talking about this nitrogen atom. The number of valence electrons in the free nitrogen atom are how many? These are 5 in number, minus. Now this nitrogen here is present in the bonded state, I mean this thing we are talking about. So in the bonded state, how we can calculate the number of valence electrons? It is quite simple. Out of the shared pair of electrons, we need to count only one, right? So like in this case, this pi bond here is containing 2 electrons like this. Even this pi bond is made up of 2 electrons, and one sigma bond out of these 3 bonds is also made up of 2 electrons like this. Okay, and on the other side also we are having a sigma bond made up of 2 electrons like this, right? So what we need to do is we will be counting one out of the shared pair. So it will be like this here, right? So which is giving me a total of 1, 2, 3 and 4 valence electrons in the bonded nitrogen atom. It is not free here, right? So what I need to write here is number 4, because these are 4 in number, which is giving me a +1 of formal charge, which you can see right here, right? In the same way, for this carbon atom also, we can calculate, yes, we can calculate the formal charge, and that will be what? The number of valence electrons on the free carbon atom, which are 4 in number, minus the number of valence electrons in the bonded carbon atom, which are how many in this case? We can say this is made up of 2 electrons, this is made up of 2 electrons. So we can say here it is containing a total of 1, 2, 3, and these 2 electrons, which gives us a total of 5 valence electrons, giving me a -1 of formal charge, which you can surely see here on this carbon atom. Okay. Now after that, what happened next is this nitrogen here is having a positive charge. What it can do is it can take both these electrons towards itself, and the driving force for this step is what? It is the release of a very stable and inert molecule of nitrogen. Don't you think it is happening? Yes, it is happening here. The nitrogen will be going out of the system after taking both the electrons of this bond pair, and it will be eliminating in the form of a gas, right? And what is left behind is a carbon atom, single bond, double bond oxygen here, single bond, R3 on this side. Because both the electrons are going from here, what will happen? Definitely a positive, I'm sorry, both the electrons are going from here, so it already was having a lone pair of electrons like this. Moreover, a negative charge was also present. Okay, but after this step here, if we try to calculate the formal charge now, in this case the carbon atom, which is bonded to two groups, first one on this side, second one on this side, it is also having these 2 electrons here. Now if we try to calculate the formal charge, it will be what? It will be the number of valence electrons in the free atom, means 4, minus in the bonded atom, which are how many? Which are, let me draw here, 1 2 1 2 here, and then now the number of valence electrons in this bonded carbon atom are 1 2 3 and 4, giving me a 0 formal charge. And that you can see here on this carbon atom having these 2 odd electrons, means a carbene species. It will not be having any formal charge. We just have calculated like this, right? So basically this thing which we end up with, it is nothing, it is actually this part of the fragment here. Okay, so although it is not the exact mechanism, it is just a rough idea. In the presence of a transition metal, what happens is a diazo compound undergoes the elimination of a nitrogen molecule, generating a carbene species here. Let me write here a carbene species, right? And after that, okay, please read from here. It says the carbonyl ylides can be synthesized from the reaction of a carbonyl with an electrophilic carbene. Okay, what is the meaning of this thing? If you look here in this fragment, in this molecule, in this intermediate, yes, we are having a carbonyl part. I mean, this carbonyl I am talking about, and we do have a carbene species as well. I mean, this electrophilic carbene species. Okay, so now we have both these components. So after the reaction between a carbonyl and electrophile, I mean this thing and this thing, what we will get is we will get a molecule of carbonyl ylide, right? So what is a carbonyl ylide? Basically, a carbonyl ylide is a carbon atom here, which is having a negative charge, and it is bonded to a heteroatom like oxygen having a positive charge. And this is only possible if oxygen atom here is having one double bond like this and one single bond like this. So basically it is a carbonyl ylide, and it can be synthesized from the reaction of a carbene with the carbonyl like this, right? So let me draw the rest of the structure as it is. The R1 here, single bond nitrogen, and this is my R2 here, single bond, double bond, oxygen, and it is attached to this carbon atom having the last substituent, that is the R3, right? And after that, this is what, if you have a close look on this molecule, this is what it is, nothing, it is just a representation like this, okay? It is this representation. So because these are all equivalent, so synthesizing this thing means what, we have eventually synthesized this molecule which was our focus and which we want to synthesize, right? So now I can write here that this thing here which I have just synthesized on this slide is what, it is my 1,3 oxazolium 4 olate, okay? And I can draw here an equivalent structure anytime I want, and that will be like what, that will be like this, oxygen negative here, this will be having a positive charge, R3 here on this side, R2 here, and my R1 here on this side, okay? So this is the very first synthesis of the type A mesoionic heterocyclic molecule. We do have another method that actually starts from a diketo or this amide here. In this, if I will be adding a reagent, that is triethyl phosphite, which is this reagent here, OC2H5 thrice, okay? So what is going to happen is the phosphorus lone pairs, I mean the lone pair on the phosphorus atom, it can undergo a nucleophilic type of attack on some electrophilic center. If you have a look on this molecule, you can see there are present a total of 3 electrophilic centers. The first one here, the second one here, and the third one here, okay? Now out of these 3 centers, on which center actually this lone pair will be attacking as a nucleophile, we can easily decide this thing saying that because the nitrogen lone pairs are involved in resonance like this on this side as well as on this side, so we are left with only one choice, and it is this carbon atom here or this electrophilic center on which actually these lone pairs of the phosphorus atom will be attacking, obviously as a nucleophile, right? So that now I can do what, I can show the attack here like this on this carbon atom, sending these 2 pi electrons onto the oxygen atom, resulting in the generation of what, resulting in the generation of R3. This will now become oxygen negative here, this whole, and on this carbon atom what will be present is a phosphorus having OC2H5 thrice, right? So it will be like this, right? So moreover, this is bonded to what, it is bonded to a carbon atom, double bond oxygen, single bond nitrogen here having R2, single bond double bond oxygen having R1 here, right? So it will be like this, let me check, R3 here, the phosphorus, single bond oxygen, okay fine. And after that, this oxygen negative, it will now attack on this carbon atom, sending these 2 pi electrons onto this oxygen atom, because there is no choice now, right? At that time we do have a choice. Out of these 3 electrophilic sites, this was acting as the most active and the reactive site, but now this oxygen negative as a nucleophile, it will be attacking on this carbon atom, this electrophilic carbon atom, shifting these 2 electrons onto the oxygen atom. Why it cannot attack here? Because that will be resulting in the formation of a 3-membered ring, right? And moreover, because the phosphorus has given its electron, so definitely a positive charge will appear on this phosphorus atom. So I can show it in this way, right? So after that, it will now result in the formation of what? A carbon here, double bond, oxygen, single bond, nitrogen having this R2 group, single bond, it is having this R3. Moreover, a phosphorus having OC2H5 thrice with an oxygen atom that is now bonded to this carbon atom having oxygen negative and this R1 group here. Okay. Now after that, and moreover this phosphorus atom here is having a positive charge. So what will happen next is the positive and the negative charges, they will result in the formation of a bond. Okay, this positive here and this negative here will result in the formation of a bond such that I can represent it in this way: double bond oxygen, single bond nitrogen here are two like this, a single bond oxygen. The rest of the structure will remain same. This R1 here, this is having R3, and moreover this is having the phosphorus with OC2H5 thrice, and now a bond in between this phosphorus and this oxygen atom, right? And finally what is going to happen is the shifting or the reshuffling of the bonds will take place in such a way that these electrons will shift here in between the phosphorus and the oxygen atom. These two electrons will shift here like this, and this is all happening because the nitrogen lone pairs are shifting in this way here, sending these electrons onto the oxygen atom, finally giving us oxygen single bond, a negative charge here, a single bond nitrogen having R2, this is R2 here, and this will now be a double bond. This will also be a double bond like this with oxygen in between like this. This is having R1 here and this is having the R3. Plus what will be eliminated here? It will be a phosphorus double bond oxygen which is having 3 ethoxy groups, means OC2H5, and that I need to write it thrice like this, OC2H5. And now this is what this nitrogen definitely will be having a positive charge, and it is my 1,3-oxazolium 4-olate. That is the very first, that is the very first type A mesoionic heterocyclic molecule. So I should write here, I should mention here, this is my 1,3 oxazolium 4-olate. Okay, so these are the two syntheses or the synthetic methods as far as the first type A mesoionic heterocyclic molecule is concerned. Okay, now let's move on to the chemical reactions or the chemical properties of these mesoionic heterocyclic molecules. Before starting, I want to tell you people here that whatever 1,3 dipoles we are talking about, what they can do is they can always react with the dipolarophile molecules, giving a 1,3 cycloaddition types of reactions, right? So you can see here this is a 1,3 dipole molecule. It can be represented in this way or even in this type of resonating structure. I mean, we can always show the resonance here in this way so that the positive charge here will be dispersed. This will become a single bond, and because these electrons are moving from here to the B atom, so what will happen is a positive charge will now appear on this A atom. So 1, 2, 3, it is a 1,3 type of dipole. We can represent it either this in this type of representation or in this type of way, right? So both are a type of 1,3 dipoles, and what they can do is they can always react with dipolarophile molecules, right? So let us say on this side we are having some dipolarophile molecule let us say X double bond Y here. So what can happen here is these 1,3 dipoles, they can actually undergo reaction in this way, means it can attack here, and these electrons can now shift here, or they can attack here on the atom A, sending these electrons onto the B atom, right? Giving what? Giving something or some species like X. This will now become a single bond Y because of the attack of these lone pairs onto the Y atom. This will become a bond here now in between the carbon and the Y atom. A single bond B here. This will now become a single bond A, and because of the attack of X on this A atom, a bond will now appear in between this and this. Okay. The main thing here to understand is that the mechanism is a concerted type of mechanism, and what is meant by a concerted mechanism, that the bond making and breaking occurs simultaneously. So some of the bonds are being broken here, some are being formed here, and all these things are happening at the same time, giving a concerted type of mechanism. And this whole reaction is what it is: a 1,3 cycloaddition type of reaction. Cycloaddition type of reaction. On one side we are having a 1,3 dipole, on the other side we are having what? A dipolarophile molecule. Dipolarophile molecule, giving what? A 1,3 cycloaddition, or this type of cyclic adduct. Okay. So now, because we have got a basic idea what type of reactions will be there as far as this particular mesoionic is concerned, all these reactions will be something like this, right? So there will be a 1,3 dipole, there will be some dipolarophile, and what is going to happen is a type of 1,3 cycloaddition will take place, resulting in the formation of these type of cyclic adducts, right? So let me take here the very first chemical reaction, and let me write here this chemical reaction is with alkenes, right? With alkenes. And obviously the reaction of our mesoionic, which is a type of a 1,3 dipole, with this alkene, which will be behaving like a dipolarophile, the reaction will be of what type? It will be simply a 1,3 type of cycloaddition, right? And it will be like this. Whatever we have discussed here, the reaction will be like this. So let me draw here my mesoionic molecule first. It will be R1 here, single bond, oxygen atom, the nitrogen here, single bond, R3. This is having oxygen negative, R2 like this. This whole is having a positive charge, right? And now I can surely represent, if you remember that structural representation, I can surely represent this in another way, and that will be like this, means nitrogen here, R2 on this side, a single bond oxygen here, single bond carbon having this R3 group, and moreover this is having oxygen negative. What we have to do is, if you remember, we need to do it like this. We have to add 2 double bonds, but not onto oxygen atom. So it will be first double bond here, the second double bond here, and definitely a positive charge here on this nitrogen atom. Okay, such that now I can represent the resonance structures in this case, and that will be like what? That will be this negative shifting here. These electrons are going on to this carbon atom, resulting in the generation of R1 single bond oxygen here. This is my R3. This will now become a single bond. This will now become a double bond like this. The nitrogen having R2 as it is, a double bond here with a positive charge. And this will now become a double bond. This will now become a single bond having a negative charge like this, right? And after that, this oxygen here is also having two lone pair of electrons. Further resonance can take place like this, giving me another resonating structure, which will be R1 here. This will be single bond nitrogen, R2 like this, double bond oxygen. This will now become a double bond oxygen here, having a positive charge because oxygen here is forming three bonds. A single bond here, then this R3 like this, okay? And definitely this positive charge will now disappear from this nitrogen atom, and this is also having a negative charge here like this. And now if you people please compare this part here of the 1,3 dipole with this one, it is exactly same. So now if I am interested in the reaction of this mesoionic heterocyclic molecule with some alkene, which no doubt is what? It is a type of a dipolarophile. I do have my 1,3 dipole. I will be having my dipolarophile, which is alkene in this reaction. So what I have to do is I just have to go like this, giving a 1,3 type of cycloaddition, and that is done, right? So if now in this molecule here I am adding, let us say, my alkene molecule, which is a carbon double bond carbon here. Let us say it is having some R group, a hydrogen atom, then the second R group, and this hydrogen atom. So this is what? This is my dipolarophile. Let me write here dipolarophile. And what is this, by the way? This is my 1,3 dipole. Now what type of reaction is possible here? This 1,3 dipole and this dipolarophile alkene, they will react, giving a 1,3 type of cycloaddition reaction, and some sort of cyclic adduct will be formed here, okay? And how I can show that? I can show it like this, means a concerted type of mechanism. This negative charge is attacking here. These electrons of the pi bond, they are going to this carbon atom, sending these two electrons onto the oxygen atom, a concerted type of mechanism, giving me what? Giving me this carbon here. This will now become a single bond. It is having R1H here like this. The second R here also my H, resulting in the formation of a bond here, the first one, the second one. And let me write here, this is my carbon atom, I mean this carbon atom, to which R1 is attached. It is also attached to a nitrogen atom, which is having R2 here, then double bond oxygen like this. And this carbon atom is this one here. It is having what? It is having my R3 group like this, which is bonded to this carbonyl carbon, okay? And moreover, this will now become what? This will also be having a single bond oxygen and a single bond like this, okay? So I will be getting a structure something like this, and which I can represent in a more simple way, and that will be what? That will be like this. The R3 here, this is having R, this is having R here, and I can show it like this. So this is the cyclic adduct here, and it is all about the very first chemical property or the chemical reaction of the first mesoionic heterocyclic molecule, which is what? Which is this 1,3 oxazolium 4-olate. And the reaction is with what type of reagent? It is with this type of dipolarophile, which is an alkene molecule. And what is the name of this reaction? It is nothing, it is simply some 1,3 cycloaddition. The mechanism is concerted, resulting in the formation of this type of cyclic adduct. Okay, let us now quickly move on to the second reaction, which is, the second reaction is with some carbonyl compound, let us say some aldehyde. Let me take here the case of benzaldehyde, and on this side my 1,3 oxazolium 4-olate. So I will not be representing all the representations here. So let me take, or let me draw here the required structure only, and that will be this: a nitrogen here having R2, single bond, oxygen negative here. This will be a double bond. I'm sorry, this will be a double bond here. Sorry, this will be R3, a single bond, oxygen, and then a double bond, positive charge. Okay, so I can always write the second resonating structure for this, which will be like what? Which will be R1 here, single bond. When these two electrons will shift from here to here, this will go like this, giving now a single bond here, nitrogen having R2 like this, and now this will be having a double bond, oxygen, single bond. These two electrons when shift like this, the resonance will be something like this, giving what? Giving me R3 here. This will now become a single bond. This will now become a double bond here, a negative charge, and here what will come is a positive charge. So once again, you can see here, you can observe this. This is what? This is my 1,3 dipole, and the carbonyl compound which I am having here, I mean this thing, it is what? It is my dipolarophile. It is my dipolarophile. So once again, if I am interested in the reaction of this whole thing, I mean this thing, with my carbonyl compound, what type of reaction will be this? Once again, it will be some sort of 1,3 cycloaddition, the concerted mechanism. Okay, so I can do what? I can take my carbonyl compound here in this way, aromatic part, carbon, double bond, oxygen, hydrogen here, so that it becomes easy for you people to understand. Sending these electrons here, these electrons will be shifted here like this, sorry, not here but here, sending these electrons onto the oxygen atom. All right, so it will give me what? It will give me oxygen, single bond, carbon here having aromatic part as well as the hydrogen. This will now forming a bond with this carbon atom, I mean this carbon atom here, which is having a nitrogen R2. This is also having R1 here. Then this carbon double bond, oxygen, this carbon here having R3, and now a bond formation between this carbon and this carbon atom. So I have to do it like this, right? And moreover, this is also having oxygen atom in this way. So it will be like this, right? So I can always represent it in the other form, some simpler type of form, and that will be oxygen, single bond. I can always do it like this. This nitrogen here is having R2, then carbon double bond oxygen, I can do it like this. So this is having R3 here, this bond, this is having R1, and I can lift this oxygen in this way. This is having one aromatic group and one H here. So once again, what I have got is a cyclic adduct here from the reaction of my mesoionic heterocycle, which is a type of a 1,3 dipole with what? With some carbonyl compound which is acting as what? As a dipolarophile. And once again, the reaction is of what type? It is a 1,3 cyclo addition type of reaction, and this is the result here, right? So the last reaction is Let me take the case of the last reaction. Let me draw here the same mesoionic heterocycle R1, single bond nitrogen here having R2. This is having oxygen, double bond, positive charge. This is having R3 having a negative charge, a double bond oxygen like this here, right? So this is my 1,3 dipole, and this time I'm interested in the reaction of this with some, this is the third reaction, with some alkyne molecule. Let me write here the alkyne molecule. Okay, so let me take a general alkyne here. Let me take a C triple bond, C having H here and H here on this side, right? So what is going to happen is, so let me, for simplicity, let me draw this alkyne here on this side. It is having H, this is also having H. So this will start sharing its electrons with this carbon atom. These electrons will be undergoing a reaction here, sending these electrons here on this side. Okay, so giving us what? Giving a carbon here. This will now become a double bond from a triple bond carbon. This is having one hydrogen, the second one here. A bond formation will definitely take place like this. And what I am having here is a carbon atom having R1 nitrogen, R2 here, a double bond oxygen, then this carbon here having R3. Moreover, I am also having this oxygen like this, right? And I can always represent it in some better way, and that will be what? It will be like this, a double bond here having two hydrogen atoms, the first one, the second one. This is my, this bond here, this is this bond. This is having R1 here, this is the nitrogen, then R2, this is a double bond oxygen attached here, this is R3, and I can lift the oxygen like this. Okay, so it looks better actually, right? So I can represent it in this way. Now, okay, fine, I have got the same type of adduct from the reaction of this mesoionic compound, which is acting as a 1,3 dipole, with my alkyne molecule, which is acting as what? A dipolarophile. Once again, a 1,3 cycloaddition type of reaction. The only important thing here is to understand that this reaction, in this case, that is with alkyne, is not going to stop here at this stage. What is happening is, if you look here in the previous case, that is reaction with some aldehyde molecule, a carbonyl molecule, the reaction stopped here at the cyclic adduct formation. In the same way, in our first reaction, that is with some alkene molecule, what is happening? The reaction is stopping here at the adduct stage, that is the cyclic adduct stage. But it is not true as far as the last reaction, that is with alkynes, is concerned. So what can happen here is, these two electrons will shift here like this, sending these two electrons here in this way. Let us see what we will get here is, we will get a species something like a double bond here, hydrogen, hydrogen. This is my single bond having what? Having R1 here, the oxygen atom, it is attached here to this carbon atom having R3. Okay, so what will happen is, when these electrons are shifting here, it will result in the elimination of nitrogen. This will now become a double bond, a carbon, double bond oxygen, to this one R2 is attached. Okay, I mean this whole group is going out of the system in this way. And if you are able to recognize this species, what is this? It is an isocyanate. It is an isocyanate. So this means, out of the three reactions which we just discussed, the first one with alkene, the second one with carbonyl compound, and this is the third one here, that is with some alkyne, What is different is, in this case, release of an isocyanate molecule will take place, leading to what? Because these two electrons are moving from here to here, definitely a positive charge will appear here on this carbon atom. And because these two electrons of this bond pair, they are going or moving to this carbon atom, so a negative charge will appear here like this. Okay, and I can always represent this structure in this way, means a double bond here, one hydrogen, the second one, this bond here, which is attached to this oxygen, one R3 here on this side and R1 here on this side. To this carbon atom we are having a positive charge, and here we are having a negative charge, such that, now look carefully, this will shift here like this, and these electrons will go like this, resulting in the formation of what? A double bond here, a single bond, once again a double bond here, and this is attached to this oxygen atom. This is having R3, this is having R1, and the two hydrogen atoms as it is the first one and the second one. Okay, so it won't be difficult for you people being chemistry students that this is what it is. Nothing, it is a molecule of furan, which is aromatic in nature, and because of aromaticity, it is what it is, a stable type of molecule. Okay, so why this is all happening? Because of the presence of a triple bond here that gets converted into a double bond, and this type of shuffling becomes possible, resulting in the formation of an aromatic type of furan molecule, which is highly stable. So this means why this reaction is not stopping at this stage as it was happening in the other two reactions, because in those two reactions, mean the reaction with alkene and some carbonyl compound, the aromatic product formation in the end by the release of some isocyanate molecule is not possible, but only in this case it is possible. So dear students, isocyanate is going like this, resulting in the formation of a very stable aromatic molecule here. So this is the difference between those two reactions and this one reaction here. It is different from other two reactions. It won't be stopping here at this stage. So this is all about the very first mesoionic heterocyclic molecule. The synthesis part, we have seen two synthetic procedures are there. Moreover, we have seen the chemical properties. First of all, reaction with some alkene, then with carbonyl compound, and in the last with some alkyne molecule, resulting in the formation of cyclic adduct, which will undergo the release of some isocyanate molecule, resulting finally in the formation of an aromatic stable furan molecule. Okay, so this is sufficient for this lecture. Thank you so much.